What's going on, everybody? Brezzy43 here. I'm back with our next video. Today we're going to be doing a team building video, and unfortunately I'm putting this up a little bit earlier than when I wanted to. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Pokemon and a surprising sleeper pick in Series 10, and that is Lunala. So today we're going to be talking about what I've been using and um, what I've seen other people using, and we're going to be diving into some sets and looking at some common partners and what you should do to build your Lunala team appropriately. Um, so Lunala is a fantastic, fantastic Pokemon that I actually think is a bit of a sleeper pick. It got a huge upgrade to its move pool in this generation by getting access to Meteor Beam. So Meteor Beam, for those of you that don't know, is a two-turn move that works just like Solar Beam does, where it charges on the first turn and hits on the second. But it charges and gives you, while it's charging, it gives you a special attack boost. So it's a permanent special attack boost. So if you run Power Herb, you get one good Meteor Beam hit off, which can usually be used to knock out a lot of Pokemon. Um, Lunala in the past has been kind of used as a bulky sort of trick room setter, kind of a support restricted Pokemon. It did win the Worlds in 2019 Worlds on the team with it was Lunala, Groudon, um, Megamence, Stakataka, Incineroar, and Taboo Finney. But like you could still do something similar to that, but because you only have one restricted Pokemon, I think, and even if you did have two, I still think Meteor Beam is something that should be feared in this metagame because Lunala can just knock things out with Meteor Beam. So I've got three sets in front of me here. The first one is the set that I've been using the most, and this set was one that I defaulted to. This was an EV spread that I had looked to use with to survive Urshifu. So if we go ahead and take this EV spread and we throw it into our calc, um, let's take a look at Lunala. So here's the EV spread for Lunala. If we pull up Urshifu Dark, you see that this spread always takes Wicked Blow. Now that's Focus Sash Wicked Blow, not Choice Band Wicked Blow, right? But Focus Sash Wicked Blow, you always survive it. You can set up Trick Room that way. You do often pair this with Pokemon like Incineroar that can set Fake Outs as well. So this is a good EV spread that I started with to survive Wicked Blow. The 180 special attack is for the Nature Jump, and also if you want to see, it does give you a reasonable chance to survive um, against most Incineroar. So this is like an old school Incineroar spread. But if we look at, you get the +1, remember, it's a 75% chance to KO Incineroar. If you go for like the hyper bulky set that a lot of people are opting for, the hyper specially bulky set, which is this one, you still have a chance to KO, although it's not quite as good. Um, you don't one shot any assault vest sets, but if you can chip Incineroar at all, and it does not have assault vest, then this Meteor Beam will pick up the KO. Additionally, Meteor Beam matches up pretty well into Pokemon like Moltres Galar. If we take a look at like a hyper bulky Moltres Galar, it does hit them for like 75% at a high roll, right? Um, so this was a really good benchmark for me to hit, and this Pokemon has felt so bulky to me. Like I do like having the extra physical bulk. Um, I think Moongeist Beam is probably the next best attack. It's Lunala's signature attack, and it also ignores Disguise among other abilities as well, which is relevant. Same as Sunsteel Strike from Solgaleo. Excuse me. My team centers run Trick Room, and I think it's best for Lunala to be running Trick Room. I am back in Generation 7. Lunala got access to Tailwind from the Tailwind move tutors. And obviously it can't learn it anymore, but I think like Trick Room is a must. I think having speed control on your restricted is really, really nice, especially if you lead this next to Fake Out, then you've got your Trick Room sweeper in position already. You just go for a Fake Out plus Trick Room and you're already, in the position that you want to be in. Um, this 4 speeds EVs you don't necessarily need. I was originally looking at running something like this, but I looked at all my calcs and this extra 8 EVs in HP wasn't really doing anything for me. So I went ahead and dropped down here and I just gave myself a value point in both of these. And I originally started off with a Lunala that was outspeeding a good amount of the metagame outside of Trick Room, and then still outsped other restricteds inside of Trick Room, with the exception of like really slow Kyogre or really slow Groudon or like Ice Rider, things like that. But against those Pokemon, like you can usually scout out how fast they're going to be and plan accordingly from there. Lunala also gets access to Wide Guard. I've been liking Protect on Lunala. I've actually got Wide Guard on a different Pokemon on my team, but I've been liking Protect a lot for repositioning purposes and whatnot. But um, Wide Guard is also a very fine move, and so is Psyshock. If you want to run a Psychic move, I think Psyshock is probably the best one. Just being able to attack on the other axis from your normal special attacking moves is really nice. So that's this first set. This survives Wicked Blow. This next one, if you just flip the EVs around, you actually survive Life Orb Astro Barrage. I should also note, against Calyrex with our original set, we do always survive the Shadow Ball, but we have a pretty average roll, actually a slightly unfavorable roll to die to Astro Barrage. I don't like to take chances with this type of a move. I prefer to have a bit better like odds than 56 point or than 43.7% chance to survive. That doesn't feel great to me. Even 50% I don't always like. I prefer like under 20. But this if you actually flip the EVs around, if you flip the 116 for the 4 and you run it like that, you actually survive the Astro Barrage. Whoops. Delete custom sets. Save custom set. Did this work? Whoops. Yes. So you actually guaranteed survive the Astro Barrage from full HP, and you and you get to you obviously take the Shadow Ball because you took it before. And Moongeist Beam will obviously knock out as well. So this is one other way that you can go, and probably a way that I'll be looking at potentially changing up my spread. Like I said, I really liked the physical bulk, but I haven't really been facing any Urshifus, and I feel like I could probably like change up my game plan against Calyrex a little bit and maybe go for something like this. Again, though, this is just another way that you could take the Pokemon. And then the last one I put in here was a support, like a bulky support Trick Room setter with Colberberry. So as we know that this EV spread survives the 204 HP 116 special defense survives Calyrex. You can't run a Kasib Berry because Calyrex has on nerves, so you're better off with a Colberberry. But if we take a look at this and we run, we delete our custom sets again, and we put this one in. Why did that not work? Maybe we have to click off of it and then go back in. Okay, so obviously we survived this. Let's take a look at Urshifu. Urshifu, we take Wicked Blow, no problem now because of the Colberberry. Additionally, if you were to change this to a Choice Band, we still take it because of the Colberberry, which is great. And also, if you look at a compensation spread, if you drop to 90, let's say they broke the shield, Behemoth Blade, if you can get it off and Intimidate, will always two-shot. So that was the general idea with this EV spread, and then it still puts a good amount into special attack. And then I don't think you want Protect on this set. I think you want just Wide Guard, Trick Room, Psyshock, Meteor, or Moongeist Beam. This makes you a little bit weaker to dark types like Incineroar, but this can still like probably do work as well. If they give us a double restricted metagame, this could be a lot stronger. But I so far think Power Herb Meteor Beam is definitely like the biggest reason to run Lunala. +1, like if we look at let's look at Lunala. Let's go back to this like Picolytic set and then adjust it back. Looks like other people were on the same track as we were with Lunala. Moongeist Beam already does a lot to Zacian, but if you factor in the +1, like Moongeist Beam starts to really add up damage, where if you can chip it with anything else, Moongeist Beam will pick up. If we look at like Rillaboom, for example, Rillaboom gets two-shot by this. If we look, and that's like a pretty bulky Rillaboom, I believe. No, that's not actually. What about Serena? Let's take a look at Serena. This is a pretty bulky Serena. +1 Moongeist Beam, always 2 shots. Um, and even if they run like payback, it's not gonna, if as long as you have your Shadow Shield in play. Basically, Shadow Shield is just busted, right? Shadow Shield is so good. This thing is like bulkier Calyrex essentially, with very like, it doesn't snowball as well, and it won't like have as many easy wins. But this thing is something that's really really powerful. So what are some partners for Lunala? I think the best Trick Room sweeper to go along with Lunala is definitely Stakataka. I think Stakataka is just phenomenal with Lunala. They offset each other so well, right? Like Lunala or Stakataka is weak to fighting 4 times, and Lunala matches up phenomenally into fighting types. Sorry, there's a crazy storm going on outside. Lunala matches up crazy well into fighting types. And Stakataka doesn't want to face them. Additionally, like Stakataka generally wants to just sit there and Trick Room and just keep clicking its moves. So I think Stakataka is a good partner for Lunala. I have 2 sets here. These are the 2 most common ones. I think Safety Goggles gives you a better answer to Xerneas because you can ignore Amoonguss, and you can just keep clicking Gyro Ball. If we take a look, I think it is the most commonly ran item. If we look at Xerneas and we give it a +2, Gyro Ball will KO, and I believe Gyro Ball even KOs at -1. It's a pretty decent chance to KO at -1. So Safety Goggles will make you better into Amoonguss. It also will give you like very similar like matchups into the other things. And the other one I have here is actually the one that I've been using. I've been using Life Orb, and I actually think I might look at Body Press over Protect here. Sakataka does also get Wide Guard, but again, I have Wide Guard on a different Pokemon on my team. But Life Orb, Gyro Ball, and Stone Edge for more damage is crazy. So if we look at Stakataka and we switch this to a Life Orb, and then we run Stone Edge here, if you look at Incineroar, this is the Picolytic set. So neutral or -1 Stone Edge is still a 12.5% chance to one-shot Incineroar. And you can often like Stone Edge things on the switch in. I think rock coverage is really, really good. It also has a high critical hit rate, so if you crit, it's like definitely going to KO. I've knocked out a lot of different things with this, and I think the Life Orb, extra damage that Life Orb provides makes Stone Edge really like formidable. And then Body Press could work nicely if you're getting defense boosts. Alternatively, you could ignore the minus speed nature, and you could run the minus defense nature and grind for a slightly lower EV or slightly lower IV, excuse me, and then you could get an attack boost with every knockout rather than a defense boost. So entirely up to you. But Sakataka is a phenomenal partner for Lunala. I've got a bunch of other Pokemon here that I think you'll be most commonly run with Lunala. Incineroar for obvious reasons. This is a really bulky, great Intimidate Fake Out user, great for setting up Trick Room, great inside of Trick Room. I won't go into too many sets, but I have actually been using Safety Goggles Roar myself, and I've been using Zero Speed. And this has come up a couple of times in a little bit of an awkward situation where, like my Incineroar, I know that it underspeeds everything, so my fake outs will go last and my U-turns will go last, but I don't always want them to go. I don't always want to be this slow sometimes in Trick Room when I'm running my U-turn or parting shot, because if you're fast Incin, then you guarantee to switch out. You guarantee to have the slowest U-turns or parting shots inside of Trick Room, and the fastest fake out outside of Trick Room. But Roar has been phenomenal for me. I've really liked having the extra utility that Roar provides. And then I've actually been running U-turn myself just because I've been testing out the extra chip damage. Sometimes Parting Shot is the better move overall. Parting Shot's insane. But with how switch and pivot heavy this metagame is, I've actually really liked the extra chip damage that U-turn provides rather than the attack drop of Parting Shot. You don't have to run zero speed if you don't want to, but zero speed better disguises your roar and makes you more like offensive inside a trick room. So otherwise, other common things you can do with Incineroar are, obviously there's tons of them. Um, there is, if you want to run Assault Vest Incineroar with, you can actually run an Impish Nature, and you can run 76, I believe. We can check that. This should survive Mienshao. Impish 252. I believe this survives Mienshao. Wait. Am I missing something? Let me refresh the calc here. Hold on, sorry. I just did this earlier and it should have, and it's going to pull back up the ads, of course. I thought I just did this earlier and it should survive. Jolly, yep, okay. And then 252. But it's not going to be intimidated, obviously. And then Impish 76. Huh. Well, I guess I was wrong. Maybe it's more than that. I don't know. I thought I did this earlier and it was what I had, but maybe it's more. Maybe it's 156. Maybe I'm mixing it up. Yeah, maybe it's 156 actually. Yeah, sorry everybody. Okay, there we go. 156 is what you want to run. So that sounds right. I knew it was one of these jumps. So sorry about that, everybody. 156 is what you want to run, and then you can run a pretty good amount of speed. And then since you are Assault Vest, I would only recommend going for the Impish on the Assault Vest set. I don't think you want to be. I don't think you want to run Impish and not run Assault Vest because the special bulk is so important in this format, right? But Incineroar, great Pokemon. You can run Citrus Berry, you can run whatever. But Impish with 156 defense EVs and 252 HP. Actually, I think you can skimp a little bit here. Yeah, it looks like you can skimp to 244. So you can run one less point with Assault Vest and still pick up your other bulk. So I would recommend exploring this set if you want. Otherwise, Citrus Berry's good. Safety Goggles are good. Things like that are great. Taboo Finney. I think Taboo Finney is a really good Pokemon on this team as well. It's not the water type that I've been using, but I think it is pretty solid. It does get access to some really good support moves like Heal Pulse and Nature's Madness, which can make this a really annoying Pokemon to deal with if it keeps healing up your Stakataka or healing up your Lunala, especially your Lunala if you can put it back to full HP. So that's something to think about as well. But you get fairy coverage, which fairy coverage is very good right now. Fairy defensively is a great type right now. Really only Zacian and Stakataka as like offensive steel types that are hitting you, and then obviously you've got like sludge bombs and stuff you have to worry about too. But this Pokemon's so bulky, and I would recommend running like a Wiki Berry. I don't think Leftovers Calm Mind is the play anymore. But you can run Light Screen as well, which gives you this is a really nice support set. You could run a bunch of HP. You want the even number for the berry, and then you could invest in one of your defenses. You could do something like this, and then you probably want to go like bold, and then like you get EV for Rillaboom. You could EV for basically a bunch of different stuff. So 116 gets you another jump, and then you can do something like this. This would be a really difficult to knock out Tapu Fini. Mostly going to be clicking these first three moves, but Moonblast still has some utility into Urshifu, Mienshao, things like that. Dark types as well. This is going to be a nice move. Otherwise, offensive Fini is still a thing. You could run Specs, or you could run you could run a modest one with still some offense. But I really am enticed by Nature's Madness, Heal Pulse, and Light Screen. So I think this is something to definitely consider. You could also tech Icy Wind if you wanted, but depends on how how you build your team, right? Like if you're running a hard Trick Room Lunala, you probably don't want to be inside. You probably don't want to be icy winding stuff. But if you're running a mixture where you've got like Lunala, Stagataka, Feeny, Incin, and then maybe like Serena and another offensive outside of Trick Room fighter, then you kind of got a nice mixture, right? Um, but I like this Feeny set a lot. Onto Araquanid. Araquanid is something that I have been using on my team, which is where the wide guard comes in. This Pokemon is insane. This Pokemon has been amazing for me. It has phenomenal natural bulk. I'm not doing anything special with the EVs. I'm just running very slow Araquanid with max attack, max HP, and I've been running Mystic Water. The reason why is I will show you. Araquanid. Mystic Water. Looks like other people are running it as well. If you look at Incineroar, like the common Incineroar set, um, you get a ton of you still deal a ton of damage to Incineroar even after you're intimidated. And if you're not intimidated, then you still, like you obviously knock it out. But Brave, Mystic Water, Water Bubble, Liquidation does a ton of damage to even like intimidated um, or even as intimidated, it still does a ton of damage. I've been knocking out Incineroars left and right with Liquidation. Leech Life is good into Rillaboom and Serena, the most popular grass types right now. Additionally, like extra life regen is nice over Lunge. And then this Pokemon matches up phenomenally into Zacian, right? Water Bug resists Fighting and Steel, which are the two most common moves used by Zacian. And Liquidation, Zacian's not really going to appreciate Liquidation. Like if you look at that's a ton of damage, right? And Behemoth Blade isn't even a guaranteed two-shot, especially if you have like grassy terrain or something. Behemoth Blade is only a 28.9% chance to 2-hit KO after grassy terrain recovery. So definitely like a really, really good Pokemon on this team, and pretty good inside Trick Room as well, right? You've got good damage that you can deal to a lot of the things that Stakataka doesn't want to deal with. You resist water, you resist fighting, and you resist ground, which is great. Wide Guard gives you matchups into Calyrex, things like that. Big fan of Araquanid. Next is Serena. Serena, I've been seeing run two different ways. Most people are running Queenly Majesty Assault Vest, but actually Rezu just posted a team with Serena, and I saw Fevzi was streaming with that team among a couple other streamers, and it was actually Sweet Veil, which makes a lot of sense. One of the things I've been noticing is that if I'm not running Taboo Finney, then I struggle with Sweet Veil. I struggle like with sleep. Amoonguss can be really problematic for me to deal with, and so without that extra like ability somewhere, I can really struggle. So you can run either one, but generally speaking, you're going to be looking at U-turn and a grass move, Grassy Glide, Seed Bomb. I think Grassy Glide has more upside than Seed Bomb if you're going to run double grass. Otherwise, you just run Power Whip and just really, really good damage. Triple Axle is good for dealing with like Amoongus's and things like that. And then I actually really like Payback. Payback is a really good move to deal with Calyrex. This Pokemon can be really bulky. You're going to want to go max speed. The sets I've been looking at have been a little bit extra bulky. You only have to run a little bit of speed if you want to, depending again on how you take your team. If you're hard Trick Room, you can run a little bit of speed. If you're more centered around outside of Trick Room, you probably want to go for like a bit more speed. Look for your benchmarks, figure out what Rillaboom is typically or what Incineroar typically are at, and try to outspeed that. But generally, you're going to be looking at running a good amount of special defense and a good amount of physical defense with. You could probably EV for your jump if you want, which I think is 76. Yep. And then you could just run, like you can get a really bulky Serena going here if you wanted to. And Assault Vest is great on this Pokemon. It already wants to run 4 attacks anyway, so just the extra bulk that Assault Vest provides is fantastic. Next up is Rillaboom. I think AV Rillaboom is just the best for Rillaboom in this metagame by far. I really like it. I think it's phenomenal. I think Grassy Glide, Fake Out, U-turn are like mandatory, and then the last move can kind of be up to you. You can run double grass if you want to have a better time into Kyogre, um, but I also think knockoff has a lot of merit as well, knocking off problematic items, dealing with Calyrex, things like that. I don't really have much of an EV spread in mind. I do know that you could like one of my favorite ones to do back on my Colossal teams was a super bulky Rillaboom. It hits its jump at 36, and then you probably want to be running like 156. Um, you want to run probably like this. This gives you like a good amount of speed, so your U-turns are pretty fast. You outspeed 113, which is a really crowded um, benchmark. You get an even number for your Assault Vest, and then you've got Intimidate support, usually from Incineroar. So, and then lastly, I've seen one team use Focus Sash or Shifu. Focus Sash is still good. You can still run the normal items with max attacks, max HP. The other one that I've been seeing is Mystic Water. Mystic Water, I believe what people are doing is um, this. This is the Mystic Water bulky set, which is interesting. Um, you're basically just always clicking Surging Strikes, Aqua Jet, or Detect, and then Close Combat's just there to hit some things harder. This is an interesting spread. I've been seeing this a lot, but I think either Mystic Water or Focus Sash are just fine. The last thing I want to mention about building a Lunala team, one thing that I've been noticing is that fairy typing is really important defensively, or just having another dark resist, because some of your matchups, you're not going to want to bring Incineroar to them, right? You're going to have some matchups Incineroar doesn't always come. It comes to a lot of them, but not all of them. And you're going to want to have a dark switch in for Lunala. And fairy is probably the best one. The only types that resist dark are fighting, dark, and fairy. Um, you could run a fighting type, but there aren't very many of them that are all that good outside of the Urshifus. Mienshao doesn't really fit this team. Also, like you could run like Hitmontop or something, but I don't think that Pokemon fits this team either. So looking at some fairy types, Rezu was using Pixelate, Pixie Plate, Sylveon with Protect, um, Moonblast, Hyper Voice, and Quick Attack. And this is a pretty standard one that we've come to know and love for VGC. You could run Modest, or you could run, or from Sword and Shield, I should say. People have been using this for a while. Or you could run Quiet and go for like a really strong offensive like sweeper inside a Trick Room, and you could like drop a couple points here for this if you want, like whatever you want to do. But Sylveon's pretty sweet. I think Sylveon was Pokemon that I overlooked that I actually think fills a really nice role on the team. And I think that Moonblast and Hyper Voice just deal so much damage inside Trick Room, and having that extra fairy typing is really nice. You've got Stakataka and Lunala that are meat shields for the special side of things, or physical side of things, I mean, excuse me. Sylveon just provides a wall for special attackers as well that's hard to overcome. I've actually been using Bulu. The reason why is that you don't have to be 0 speed for this either, but you can actually underspeed the opposing. Let me look it up. Indeedee female with 0 speed and a minus speed nature. 81. So you can actually underspeed and go for base 80 or slower, and guarantee that grassy terrain goes up instead of Indeedee's terrain, which is really cool. Also, Bulu is a bit better inside a Trick Room than Rillaboom is, and actually is more all around bulky. Rillaboom's got a higher HP stat, but a far lower special defense stat, and Tapu Bulu has a bit higher of a defense stat, not by a lot, but by a little bit. 90 compared to 115. So Bulu is all around like a bit bulkier. It's just that Bulu doesn't have as good of a supporting kit as Rillaboom does, or even Serena. It doesn't have U-turn, doesn't get Fake Out, doesn't get Grassy Glide, but it gets Fairy typing as its defensive coverage. So if you run 244, which is a good number for Grassy Terrain recovery for 176 HP, you can just EV for your jump here because you really don't need to have much offense. Um, there's the jump 76, and then you can run like a bunch of special bulk here, um, and then like a good amount of physical bulk, and you can run Wood Hammer, Horn Leech, Dazzling Gleam, and then either Snarl or Darkest Lariat. You still get a good matchup into Calyrex with this thing. It's difficult for Mienshao to remove because it's resisted. It's difficult for Calyrex to remove because it's so bulky. Um, it's bulkier into Kyogre. It does pick up a 4 times weakness to poison, and it does pick up a weakness to steel, which aren't great, but you pick up resistances to fighting, resistances to dark, and resistance and an immunity to dragon. So if you happen to run into a Dialga or a Palkia, this thing's going to be a bit, or Palkia specifically, it's going to be a bit more difficult for this to knock it out, or for them to knock you out rather. And Horn Leech is a move that it gets that Rillaboom doesn't, that gives it extra recovery, right? This is what I've been using. I've been pretty happy with it overall. I think my Bulu is like 15 speed though, I believe. I don't remember for sure. It's around here somewhere. I don't have a 0 speed one, but this is pretty cool. I think Bulu is a bit of a sleeper pick that a lot of people aren't using. But I know Rillaboom goes on more teams, but this particular team feels like Bulu is pretty solid. Coco. I've been seeing a recent resurgence in Tapu Koko because of electric terrain. Electric terrain is really good for preventing sleep, and Amoonguss is rising in popularity a bit. Venusaur is still on Groudon teams, so Electric Surge is nice. But additionally, it's that fairy typing again, right? Like outside of Stakataka and Zacian, steel types are at an all-time low, and so you generally will see like some of these fairy typings creeping up a little bit more again. I think that Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Dazzling Gleam are great. This Pokemon matches up pretty well into a decent chunk of the metagame. Not as good into, or not great into Rillaboom, but neither is Regieleki. But pretty good into Incineroar. It's a bit bulkier than Regieleki. We can just pull up Aleki here quick. Aleki has 80 HP and 50 in both defenses. We've got 70 HP, but we've got better in both defenses. Aleki's obviously a lot faster, but Coco comes with that extra typing here. And I think you still want Focus Sash because it does really well into Kyogre if you don't die to the Sash. So I like the having Sash here to guarantee that you get one attack off. Actually, instead of Volt Switch, I'm sorry, you probably want to run Electro Web here. That's the whole reason why you run these fast electric types into Kyogre, so you can drop their speed, right? So that's Coco. I saw one team running Coco. And lastly, this Pokemon just popped into my head, but with Sweet Veil being so valuable, Alcremie could be kind of interesting. Alcremie, like, it's significantly less bulky than Sylveon, right? It's got 30 less HP and only 10 more defense with like very similar special defense and then the same special attack. But Sylveon gets Pixelate boost and Pixie Plate boost, whereas Alcremie doesn't get that. And Sylveon has higher natural base stats, but Alcremie is a better support. And Decorate is one of the most busted moves in the game. Decorate, if you get a Decorate off on Lunala, on Araquanid, on Stakataka, that Pokemon's just going to continue to just wipe house. It's just so strong. +2 attack is so nutty. So even decorating a Bulu or a Incineroar or anything like that could be just backbreaking. You only get Dazzling Gleam, so your fairy attacks are much weaker. And then you probably want to run Protect, and then you have one last move to look at here: Mystical Fire, Encore, things like that would be okay. But you get Baby Doll Eyes as well. But this Pokemon is just something that I may have to test a little bit before I decide on it. It might just be bad, because if I remember correctly, let's look at Alcremie. And let's look at Zacian. So if we intimidate it and we have Babbery Berry, we can survive Behemoth Blade then. But then we only get to survive round one, right? We do get to go for Baby Doll Eyes. So if we do happen to put this thing to -3, and we aren't running Babbery Berry, Okay, we do take it then, but it's still like we're not going to take two Behemoth Blades ever. So this Pokemon's kind of interesting. It's far less bulky overall than Sylveon because of this extra HP that Sylveon picks up. But like I said, Decorate could be worth it and could be worth exploring. So yeah, that's going to be Lunala. I'll throw up these three teams here really quick. I don't know all of their EV spreads. My team is right here if you want to see it. Um, AV Bulu with a bit different spreads than what I showed in the below, but this is basically the same thing. Um, Incineroar with safety goggles U-turn, like I said, and this is actually minus speed. Lunala, I opted for the Power Herb, and I opted for I still have the Wicked Blow set, but I might end up changing that. Stakataka, Araquanid, and then Regieleki. I've been using Alecki for now, but I might end up switching it to something else. In fact, I know I will be. I never bring this Pokemon outside of the Kyogre matchup, and I think I have enough tools for Kyogre with Bulu and Araquanid that I would rather have a better Trick Room option here. And I might look to do some shuffling around as well. Maybe I'll run Serena here, and then I'll switch Regieleki to Sylveon or something. So this is the variation I'm at top 200 on the ladder right now, so I'm liking the team. Lunala's great, but I'll throw up. This was Rezu's team. I believe that Rezu was running zero speed Lunala. Don't quote me on that for sure. I don't like zero speed Lunala as much because you do get outsped by some Incineroars that are faster than you outside of Trick Room. And one of the nice things that I've been liking about Lunala is being able to knock out opposing Incineroar before Trick Room even goes up. Just like that, oftentimes it removes their only Ghost resist as well. And Lunala is so bulky that you don't always need to have Trick Room up. And then Rezu has Incin with Citrus. I did see this was Citrus. This was also Power Herb. And then he had Araquanid with Mystic Water. Serena with Sweet Veil and Assault Vest. Sakataka with Life Orb. Actually, I think it was Safety Goggles. I don't know for sure. I think it was Safety Goggles. And then the last Pokemon was Sylveon with Pixie Plate. I don't know any of the other spreads on this, but this was Rezu's team. And then I saw one other team that I definitely don't know the spreads for. But it was Lunala, Incineroar, Bulu, Urshifu, Tapu Koko, and Stakataka. I don't know the items or the spreads on this, but given what we have here, I would assume this is Sash, AV, Citrus Berry, or something else. Mystic Water, most likely, if the Sash is on the Coco, but it could also be AV Coco. But yeah, this team was published on Twitter that I saw earlier, and it looked pretty solid. Double Terrain is interesting to me. Bulu is their fairy typing. It looks like it can operate in and outside of Trick Room. You've got Lunala, Incin, or Shifu Koko that looks solid as like an outside of Trick Room mode, and then you've got like Lunala, Incin, Bulu, Stakataka that works well inside of Trick Room. Covers a lot of their bases there too. And this person, I believe, did get to #1 on Showdown with this team. So, yeah, I think you all should check out Lunala. Lunala is fantastic. Such a cool Pokemon. Really, really fun to use. I think it's great, and I really look forward to continuing to use it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all found it informative. I will definitely be playing some games with this team on ladder. I've been using this team, and I haven't ever been bringing Alecki, and it's still been good even with these 5. Like it's so good. This like Lunala is really, really good. I think Trick Room has a really solid place in this metagame. I think a lot of teams on ladder just aren't prepared for Trick Room. So you can really just like blow through some teams if you get Trick Room up and you position your Pokemon well. So that's going to do it for me, though. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Let me know if you've been using Lunala. I'd love to hear about some other Lunala teams. And I will catch you all in our next video. Thanks so much.